Let's take a journey. We're going to start at the very beginning of the universe, zoom right past all those glittering galaxies, and dive straight through our solar system. We'll crash land into the dense, dark undergrowth of a prehistoric jungle in Asia. It's here that evolution created something truly incredible, a stunning, heavily armored survivor, the Asian forest scorpion. And you've decided to bring one home. The real question is, are you ready to build its entire world? See, here's the thing you have to wrap your head around. You're not just buying a cool-looking pet. You are taking a master of the tropical shadows, a creature that's been perfected over millions of years, and you're trapping it in a completely alien world, your world. And if you get the details wrong, well, this ancient warrior just isn't going to make it. So let's get properly introduced to our ancient warrior. We're talking about Heterometrus spinifer, which is basically a living fossil that's been crawling around on this planet for millions of years. This isn't just an animal in a box. It's a living, breathing piece of prehistoric art. To really get what this scorpion needs, I want you to think of it as a biological reactor. It's this super finely tuned, self-sustaining machine. But here's the catch. Every single part of its internal machinery, its health, its behavior, it all depends on the world you build around it. If you get the inputs wrong, the whole system crashes. It's really that simple. Okay, so where do most new universe engineers go wrong? Look, it's almost never on purpose. It usually comes down to a simple misunderstanding. And the first most critical mistake often boils down to one simple thing: space. And this right here perfectly explains the space dilemma. On one hand, you have a single scorpion in a decent-sized home. It's going to be peaceful. It's going to thrive. But on the other hand, you cram two or more into a tiny box, you've just built yourself a little gladiator arena. These guys are solitary creatures, and if they don't have enough room to call their own, they get incredibly aggressive. The stakes really are absolute. One simple mistake can cause stress, sickness, or an all-out war. So the real question is, how do you get it right? How do you actually forge a perfect little micro-universe for this incredible creature? All right, so you're ready to build. The good news is, it's not as intimidating as it sounds. Seriously. Once you get the hang of the core principles, you'll find these scorpions are surprisingly easy to care for. So let's start with the foundation of your new cosmos. First things first, you gotta pick the right container. A 5-gallon terrarium is the absolute bare minimum for one adult. But listen, when it comes to space, bigger is always, always better. More room means a happier scorpion and way less stress. Next up, let's talk climate control. Your scorpion needs something called a temperature gradient, which is just a fancy way of saying it needs a warm side and a cool side. You want to aim for about 85 degrees on the warm end and around 75 on the cool end. This lets the scorpion move back and forth to regulate its own body temperature, just like it would in the wild. And now we get to what might be the single most critical element for your scorpion's universe: humidity. Remember, these are tropical animals. They absolutely need a consistent humidity level between 70 and 80% to thrive. If you get this wrong, you're looking at serious health issues, including really dangerous problems when they try to molt. Your substrate, that's the stuff on the bottom, is the foundation of this whole universe. It plays a huge role in keeping that humidity right. Coconut fiber is a fantastic choice. It's cheap, holds moisture like a champ, and it's perfect for them to burrow in. Peat moss and cypress mulch are also great options, especially if you want a really natural look. So how do you actually keep that humidity between 70 and 80%? It's a pretty simple 3-step routine. First, you're going to mist the enclosure a few times a week. Second, always have a shallow dish of water in there. And third, add things like pieces of cork bark to create little damp hiding spots where your scorpion can feel safe and secure. Okay, so your universe is built, but your job as creator isn't quite done. Now you have to maintain it. This is all about giving that biological reactor the right fuel to keep it stable and running for the long haul. Time to feed the beast. Now, a young scorpion that's still growing is going to be hungry, needing to eat every 3 or 4 days. But adults, their metabolism is way slower. They only need to eat about once a week. And on the menu, we've got things like crickets, mealworms, and dubia roaches. Want to give your scorpion the best diet possible? Here are a couple of pro tips. First, always gut load your feeder insects. That just means you feed the insects a really nutritious meal before you feed them to your scorpion. Second, dust those insects with a little calcium supplement about once a week. And finally, always, always get rid of any uneaten food. You don't want mold or pests moving in. Let's have a quick word on handling. Just don't. Simple as that. These are not pets you cuddle with. They are wild animals, and handling them just stresses them out for no reason. If you absolutely have to move your scorpion, use long, soft-tipped tongs and just be as slow and gentle as you possibly can. So, you feel like you've mastered the basics? Ready to level up your universe-building skills? You might want to think about creating a bioactive terrarium. This is basically a miniature, self-sustaining ecosystem. You've got live plants and a little cleanup crew of tiny bugs like springtails and isopods that manage all the waste. It's a bit more work to get started, but the payoff is a healthier pet and way less cleaning for you. So, what did we just do? We have taken a simple glass box and, with some careful planning and a little bit of science, we have transformed it into a living, breathing cosmos. A tiny slice of a prehistoric world, sitting right there in your home. The most crucial takeaway here is this. Success really just boils down to getting these 4 things right. The right space to avoid a scorpion fight club, the right climate so their internal machinery can function, the right foundation so they can act like scorpions, and the right interaction, or lack thereof, to keep them happy and stress-free. You now have the blueprint. You know how to create a world, how to be the caretaker of a tiny cosmos in a box. So that just leaves us with one final thought. What does it really mean to hold the existence of a 400 million-year-old survivor right in your hands?